Over the years, I've done a lot of videos and blogs on auction houses that sell fakes and copies and reproductions and misrepresent them. We've seen a lot of cases where fake provenances have been invented, fabrication of old collection labels fabricated old collection labels thrown on, and even photographs where they would go into the internet and pull down historic images from old buildings and Photoshop into those images objects they are putting in their auctions. And this has been going on for some time, and apparently the government is unable and capable or unwilling to do anything about it. And recently, one of our guys, Mark over at the forum on our website at Bitamount, got a hold of me to let me know a little story about a vase that's up for sale out in California. He said the problem with the vase is that it's in his possession. He bought it at Bronx in Asheville, North Carolina, which is a very reputable auction house a year or two ago. And it's now up, the exact same piece is up for sale at this auction house out in California. And this is Treasurehouse, Inc. And if you're planning to do business with them, don't. If you've noticed that their auction disappeared, that was up, they had a two-day auction that was listed, that was supposed to happen around the 29th or so of this month. It's because we got a hold of them and told live auctioneers what's going on. And what they're doing is that they were going around and nicking images off of the internet and inserting them into their thing, copying everything right down to the descriptions. And I'm going to show you some of the pieces that they had in their sale that were sold elsewhere. I would have shown you the page, but we contacted live auctioneers immediately because I was more concerned about people putting bids in and getting taken. And I didn't think live auctioneers would react so quickly on a Friday night. But we sent them an email at around 5:30, 5:45 last night to let them know what was going on. And they I believe, they know who we are, and went and checked it out. And within an hour, both auctions were removed from the internet. And that got me thinking, is this something they've done for a long time? So we had gone through their listing before it was taken down and found a number of things that we were very familiar with. It was this, and many of you remember we talked about this very lot that was sold at Bronx back in early November. This was a very recent auction, less than a month ago. And they had taken this image and put it on their site, including this entire description. I think they even left the Roger Cavern provenance in there. All right, that was an item. This pair of moon flasks that were sold at Bronx on November 8th were in that sale. The pair of turquoise, the two turquoise lots were in it. And then these turned up in another auction they did that was sold back in December of 2015 by A.H. Wilkins up in Canada. They're not a crooked auction house. And they even used the same exact photograph. And this was another one. This was also from Bronx. They seem to focus on a number of particular auctioneers. And here you have the two pieces. This is a sensor that sold at Stallion Hill in 2015, and this was a sensor that they sold, allegedly sold in an auction a month ago. All right, they run auctions all the time. They run lots of scammy auctions with fakes in them. And they also had a large pair of vases that sold at Able Auctions for about $10,000. They got it and sold it apparently for $8,000. I think we even commented on this because I thought it was a pretty good deal. But the point was that they don't actually, I suspect they never have the possession of these items, and they're trying to sell them and then dance around the money. And the reason I'm saying that is that somebody else contacted me earlier in the week that had bought something from them, paid the bill, and never heard back. Never got an email, never got their items, never did anything. And they asked me what I should do, and I said you should contact them and then let our live auctioneers know. And it may well be that when we contacted live auctioneers to let them know really what was going on, because we had shown them some of the items that had been sold previously elsewhere this hour suddenly on their site, and I pointed out to them that we know who owns one of the pieces, and it's not in that auction, it's sitting in his house, that they took action, thankfully. All right, this vase was sold at Alex Cooper's sale back in 2015, and they seem to have gone through and creamed out a bunch of lots from 2015, and here it is again in their sale, same photograph, same description, just sold in October of this year. All right, and then this wine ewer. This wine ewer was in their auction that they took down yesterday. It was listed, and it was in this sale sold by Alex Cooper, who sells great things. He's a good auctioneer, and here it is in the sale back in October, and it either didn't sell or whatever happened, or it sold and got paid for, and they're reselling it. I don't know what's going on there, but it was in the auction again yesterday. All right, so the question is, who are these people? Well, we went into the California records and did a little digging. All right, and this is their open corporates filing, Treasurehouse Auctions, Inc., and they have the address, 148 East 14th Street, apartment 307, and it's just an apartment complex. It's not a business. It's not a gallery or anything. And I noticed something on here that was interesting. They have the agent name, all right, is Daisy Yun Zhao. And the directors and officers of the company are Daisy Ying Zhao, agent, and Zhu Liu, chief executive officer. I'd seen that name before, and we went back and did some digging, and we found out why. Here he is again. He's one of the owners of Dot Dot Art Gallery, which is about 400 miles away, up in another part of California. This is in Irvine, and he runs the same kind of auctions. He sells fakes and copies and all this other thing. So it seems, I may be mistaken, but in my opinion, it appears that the two of them have some sort of scam operation going, and they're doing a big business the way other auction houses we've looked at around the country, down in the southern Georgia area. Let's see, who are the biggest? Well, you have Roswell auction galleries, Lauren auction galleries, and that kind of thing. And they have the same sort of operation with copies, fakes, reproductions, selling, and nobody ever complains because most of the buyers are in China, and people in China, there's nothing they can do about it. If they buy it and it gets shipped to China, they get stuck with a fake. That's it. Credit card companies aren't going to help you. Nobody's going to help you, and you're pretty much done. That's pretty much the end of the deal. And these are all the things that they've sold in the past. And we went through Dot Dot's auctions. The images and photography are remarkably similar to the auction images we see for Lauren and these other crooked auction houses. Empire Auctions up in Boston is a major offender. Many of you are familiar with them. They're sort of a running joke. They have 5 or 10 auctions of fakes running at any given time. It seems, of one thing or another. They just sort of run them nonstop, and I don't think they sell much, but because everybody's caught on to them. They used to be in New York, and I think the heat got to them, so they took off and went to Boston, and they now operate out of what looks like a closed, dilapidated sort of Chinese restaurant or something. But at any rate, back to these two outfits, Dot Dot Gallery and Treasurehouse Inc. Are just a very scary bunch of people. And here are some of their previous auctions. And one of the things you'll be struck if you look at the images, they have the photographs of blatant copies of things that are coming out of China that they're selling, and they get good money for them if the figures they're producing are right. But they're all reproductions. But then you see these other auctions with a very different type of photograph, and that's a red flag. That's something you should look out for. And if you flip open some of these pages, you get to this, and I think if I went through this, here's that picture I was talking about that was sold years ago, and this bowl and that bowl and these pieces, and I think if you went through Live Auctioneers, you'd probably be able to identify a lot of the pieces in here. I've seen this pair of jars before, for example, and other things. This pair of cobalt jars. They got these came from, I believe they came from Bronx or someplace. Hold on a second. Had the link to it. Any rate, I found these also out there. They had sold at Bronx back in 2015 or 16, and then they were resold here again by this company. And this is this Kangxi bottle had been sold elsewhere previously, and an awful lot of familiar faces. And I have some real doubts that they owned any of it. All right, because I know in the case of the person who called me, the photograph and descriptions were lifted right off of Brunk's website, and obviously live auctioneers took a good look at it, and within an hour they booted the auction off the site. But I just want to point out that if the stuff comes back for some reason, be very, very careful. Do not go near it. They're obviously willing to defraud people and lie to people in their ads, and it's just terrifying. And I don't know if there'll be any legal repercussions for anything for what they're doing, and I doubt there would be. But that's sort of the way it is. And both these companies neither of these companies are operating out of an office space or an auction house facility. Both of these people, they have their addresses. They're just apartment houses in California, and they both share corporation papers together and so forth. And I don't know what they're doing beyond this. They may have other things going on. They may run other auctions on live auctioneers. I don't know. But I was able to track down these two, and Dot Gallery and Treasurehouse Inc. are their business model is fraud, from what I can tell. That's just my opinion. All right, so be careful out there. It's a very dangerous place, and at times buying at auction. And this is just one of the cases. And it's they're getting away with it in California because California is indifferent to this sort of thing, as are most states. It's not just California. Most states have absolutely no interest in pursuing this, and actually, in many cases, it's illegal for the state to get involved through their auctioneer licensing department if there are no physical people in attendance. For example, if you run an auction with a physical presence with live people in the room bidding, they fall into if the state even has an auctioneer's license requirement, which many states don't, amazingly. If they have an auctioneer license requirement, then the state can step in if there's fraud. But if it's strictly a online operation, online auction and online bidding, the state authorities in general have no authority at all through their licensing operations. They can't go in. They don't even require a license to do it. You are not required to have an auction license if no one is in the room bidding. If nobody comes to buy with you, you don't need one. It's just like selling at auction on eBay. The people that sell things dishonestly on eBay, misrepresent things, if they're selling out of New York or Massachusetts or California, the state has zero authority to step in most cases. All right, so it's just a little heads up. All right, have a great weekend. Bye-bye.